afternoon, evening on this Mother's Day. Good afternoon, good evening on this Mother's Day. And I hope that everyone is having a beautiful Mother's Day. Hope everything is going well for everyone, and you're blessed and enjoying your families and your children and your babies. And God is good. My day has been going fantastic. I've seen all of my children, and I have been seeing my kids, but with this with this thing going on, this virus, it's like it's been hard at times. But and we still do the elbow, where we touching the elbows and stuff like that, and everything has been going well. So, anyways, tonight I want to talk about my mom. Well, my mom has passed on and gone home to be with the Lord. She's not on earth anymore. Well, boy, do I miss her. I mean, there's not a day that don't go by that I don't think about my mom. We was really, really, really close. She basically was my best friend. And I like my twin. And she used to always say that all the time, that I look like her. And a lot of people always say that, and I'm honored. I'm honored, to look like, it's nothing more than like looking like the lady that gave birth to you. So I'm honored, grateful, blessed. And so tonight I want to touch on mothers, since it's Mother's Day. And my mom, of course, like I said, my mom has gone on to be with the Lord. And I had a really, really good relationship with my mom. And it was a lot of times, whereas we did have our dragouts, it was like, I think that's with all mothers and daughters sometimes, you have that. I know I remember being sometimes a hard-headed teenager. Basically, now that when I had my own children, then I understood where she was coming from when she used to say that. And I got it. And so anyways, hold on a minute, I want to put this, because I'm going to keep it real. I have something on my camera on me there and the camera here, so I don't want to look like I'm looking at two different spots. Yeah. So anyways, so I had a pretty good relationship with my mother. And I just remember at times being a hard-headed teenager, and giving her problems and stuff like that. I had a child at 17, so I was a teen pregnancy. So I remember my mom nearly had a heart attack when I told her that I was pregnant. But you know what? She still embraced me and still helped me. And I just want to touch on the fact of what I had basically went through. A mother's love is just something that can't be replaced on this earth. But God, but God, He was there. So I just remember, because my mom died suddenly. Wasn't like, where I kind of like, I don't think you can ever prepare yourself. Even if your parents die from cancer, and it's terrible to watch a parent suffer from that. But, or some kind of, like you kind of know that, be believing by faith, but it's God's will. You kind of know, like say your parents are suffering with a sickness, so you don't know for sure if which we all gonna pass away one day, but this was sudden with my mom. And so I just kind of want to go back and kind of like tell a little bit of what happened, because it goes in with what I'm talking about tonight. And with Hebrews, the scripture that I wanted to talk about tonight is Hebrews, and it's Hebrews 13, chapter 13, verse 5. And it says right here, the part of that scripture got me was, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can men do to me? So that was always something that was always on my mind after my mom passed away. But I want to talk about like leading up to her passing, because it's going to all work in together here. My teachings that I call it sermon, it's preaching. But so anyways, it was basically it was Thanksgiving. My mom passed away in 2011, so my mom been gone for almost, 9 years? And almost 10 years. Wow. No, 9 years. Almost 9 years. So my mom passed away, in 2011. And I just remember I had moved to Iowa. So I came up here. And for some reason, and this is how the Lord does it, for some reason, I wasn't going to come up because it was cold. And some reason I said, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to see my mom and, and I'm going to see how she's doing and everything and spend time with her. I think my sister lived up here, and my nieces, but I was in Iowa with my family. My family lived down there at the time, my husband and my children. And so anyways, I had came up here and I had basically seen her and stuff like that. So I just decided I wanted to buy all the food, because at first it was like I didn't want to end up buying all this food because I didn't want my mom eating all that stuff, because we was always trying to, like, me and her was trying to lose weight. And me, myself, I was probably about, at that time, I probably was about 100 and something overweight. So, and thanks be to God, I lost, but okay. So anyways, we were talking about this weight thing. So I was trying to get my weight, I was trying to make sure that she would stay healthy. So I said, oh, I'm not going to buy it. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to do it because it's Thanksgiving and I haven't seen my mom, hadn't seen her probably in about a couple months, because she came down for my birthday and I had came up here for her birthday, which was in March 2011. So anyways, I came up and I said, I'm going to buy it. My sister was saying, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I said, no, I'm going to buy the food and, and we're going to enjoy ourselves and we're going to eat and have a good time and everything like that. So anyways, I believe it was Tuesday. I had bought all the food and stuff. So anyways, we had a good time from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which was Thanksgiving. We ate and everything. But Wednesday night, we always prepared the food in the kitchen. The women did, and my mom, she was sitting at the table and she was helping us. But basically, it was me and my sisters. Because, I think this, once your mom gets older and she did all the cooking, my mom cooked for years, her and my grandmother. And so it was like, it was your time, it was her time to have a seat and for us to get in the kitchen and do it for, for her. So we cooked and everything, and I believe at that time we had celebrated my nephew's, my nephew had passed away, and we were celebrating his birthday, letting balloons off and things in the air and all that. So anyways, so that was a touchy moment. It was my sister, my sister's son. And so anyways, we got to Thanksgiving Day, and we ate and everything, and had food and all that, and had a good time. We call it Glutton Day. That's our favorite word, and my whole family, my uncles and everybody in my family calls it Glut Day. So anyways, so Friday I had packed up and was going to head back, and I had basically almost stayed there for, I think it was like 4 or 5 days, and so I was going to pack up and head back, and I told her I would be leaving at 6 o'clock, that evening. Me and my children, my 3 children, had drove up, and we were headed back. And I think my sister, she had already went before us. She was, had came up too as well. She went before us. She had left, I think Thursday night, and I left Friday. I think she left Thursday, I believe. But anyways, I left Friday, so at 6 o'clock. But I had talked with her and stuff. But here's the thing. That day, when I had talked with her, I cried on her shoulder, because back then, that day, I think I was drinking beer. I was drinking at the time. No big heavy, it wasn't a heavy drinking. I wasn't heavy drinking. But I was drinking. So anyways, sometimes when you drink, your emotions come out. So at the time, and I'm getting a little teary because I'm thinking about it. At the time, I was like having problems at home. Like I was going through some problems, some marital situations. So anyways, some things that I was doing in my life that I wasn't too pleased with. And so I had basically cried to her, but I didn't want to tell her what I was going through, because she was going through something herself. And it was like really devastating to her, so I didn't want to tell her what I was going through. And so I was in her room, and I just started, I couldn't help it, I just cried. I cried and I wept all over her, and she was holding me. And she was holding me like, how mothers hold each, you know, a mother holds her daughter. She basically was embracing me and holding me and rubbing me on my back and telling me it was going to be all right. But she had no idea what I was going through and the pain I felt inside. And I just cried on her, but I would not say, she was saying, what's wrong? You know, what's wrong? And I wouldn't tell her. But I just said, I'm going to fix it. It's going to be okay. You know, it's God's going to take care of it. But when I was saying God was going to take care of it, I was at a place in my life whereas I thought that God had basically abandoned me. I'm going to be honest. But my mom was a very spiritual woman. My mom had an altar probably 5 feet from where we were standing. It basically was right there in her room. So anyways, I hugged her and I cried on her, and I never forget, I had her front of her shirt wet from my tears. You know, I cried on her, and I told her I loved her, and she said she loved me, and you know, and she said everything's gonna be all right. She said, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, God's gonna fix it. You know, He's gonna fix it for you. Everything's gonna be okay. So anyways, we went to the front door, and she said, I said bye, and she said it's not bye. Now, my mom lived alone. She was, her husband had separated. So anyways, my mom lived alone, and so basically, that's why I said she was going through her own stuff. And so anyways, my mom, I said bye, and she said it's not bye, it's till we see each other again. And I think I hugged her at the door, and that's when I said bye, and then she said it's not bye till we see each other again, and I said bye, Mom, and then I went out the door, and she pushed the door closed. You know, I pushed the door closed and locked it. And that was the last time I seen my mom alive. The next morning, I drove home and everything, and I was hanging out with friends and cousins and stuff, relatives. When I got back to Iowa, I didn't call my mom. When I got back, I was like, you know, it's late, she's probably in bed and stuff like that. And I seen Mom, I spent time with Mom and everything, and she's good. So keep in mind what I said is I was doing things that I wasn't pleased of that I was doing at the time. So anyways, I was partying and everything with cousins, drinking and having a good time. At that time, I was really, really drinking. I at the time I had a pain. I had bad shoulders. And so, but I think I had basically had, I ain't gonna say I think I did, I actually had picked up a painkiller addiction. And I wouldn't face the fact that I did. And so anyways, I went home that night, you know, and I was sleeping. I remember going to bed and everything that night, and then all of a sudden my sister called me, the sister that was up here. I was just trying to think. I didn't go to sleep on y'all. I'm trying to think. My sister had called me, and she said, you need to get back up here. Mom's dead. And I kid you not, I said, what? It sounded like a dream, or I said, maybe she's drinking and my sister's drunk and she's playing games. But my sister never played games like that. We didn't joke like that. We're jokesters in our family, but we don't joke like that. So anyways, she said, you need to get back up here. Mom's dead. And I just remember screaming, and I think I said, no, 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 no. I kept saying no. And I had the phone to my husband at the time. I gave him the phone. And I don't know if I gave him the phone. I can't remember. That was like a blur. I can't remember. But all I know is that I ran out in the hallway. My kids, because I had 2 children living at home then. My oldest was grown and married, and she lived in she lived there actually because her husband had got deployed. But I just remember calling. I didn't call nobody. I just remember hitting the floor in the front room and rolling in my pajamas. I had a little household dress on thing, and it came up to probably a little bit above my knees, and I remember rolling, and I didn't care who seen my butt at the time. Now I think back, and I didn't care. It was my kids and my husband, so I didn't care. My husband at the time, and I was just rolling and rolling and rolling on the floor, just rolling and screaming and saying no, 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 no. I just remember that. So we came up, we got everything taken care of, came up to Minnesota, got everything, we got our body shipped back, because my mom is from Iowa, so we got her shipped back, you know, and everything. And I'm telling you, the whole time, the funeral, it was a blur to me. I basically, it was like just a blur. I mean, I got the funeral planned out, everything got taken care of. I had all the plans and everything. My oldest daughter helped me plan it. My sister, she helped out and helped plan it. But it was like a blur to me, because keep in mind I said that I had painkillers going on then at the time. And I kid you not, I felt like somebody hit me in the face. My whole body felt like somebody hit me with a Mack truck when I found out that my mom died. And from there on, I felt like it had hit me and basically left me on the highway dead. And I didn't know where I was. That's how I felt. When I went to the funeral, before we got to the funeral, I seen her, because they let the families, her kids see her, us see her before everybody gets there. I think it's at the wake or whatever. And I seen her, and I had everything laid out the way she wanted it. I did not think that I would have to do it at the age, she was 60. Very young, snatched from life just like that. That's why I say appreciate life, enjoy life, because life is short. I kid you not, she was my best friend. We would laugh on the phone like for hours every day. But there was times, I remember, like when I was going through and she didn't know what I was going through, and I would put her off, because it was like she was going through something too, and I didn't want to really talk because I wanted to medicate myself. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want her to know what I was doing or anything else. But she had came down a few times to see it, and she said, what's going on here? You changed. This is not you. But she didn't know what I was going through. So anyways, after she was put away and buried and everything, and after the funeral and everything, from there I kind of spiraled. I started doing, I already was painkillers. I started drinking heavier. I basically didn't care. I wanted to die. I didn't want to live. My son was in, I think my son was in 11th, going into 12th. I believe he was in 11th grade. And I did not want to be here. I had a daughter that was in 7th grade, I believe. Yes, she was in 7th. They were doing good. And my husband, at the time, he was helping. He was a lot of help. He was helping me. And, but I didn't want to be here. I actually had to go and get, some professional help, counselors and things like that. I had basically didn't want to be here. It was a very, very dark place. And I said, what am I going to do? That was the first thing I said. What am I going to do? I don't think that my family knew that it was really dark for me, like extremely dark. I think my kids knew it, but they still was living and doing their life. And it was bad for me. And so I started doing some stuff that wasn't okay, marital problems and stuff like that. So I kind of felt it like me and my husband was distancing from ourselves. The enemy comes in and starts trying to destroy everything. When he comes in, he starts trying to wipe people out. My mom was a praying woman. So it was like her prayers, I'm sure she prayed overly over top of me and my sisters and my brother's life. But it's like you got your own will of what you want to do and everything like that. So it was like basically everything was bad. The next year, I winded up having a miscarriage. It was, and then from there on, it was like, that's it. It just went from bad to worse. And so anyways, I kept saying that she's not here. And then I felt bad because I had left her that night. I felt guilty. It was like a guilt on me. The enemy had me like it felt like I was like in some kind of squeeze tight hold, like somebody pushed you in a headlock on life and you can't get free. You're just basically stuck. And it's like, I knew about prayer, I knew about God, but I felt like God had abandoned me. Actually, I was mad at my mom and I was mad at God. I said, basically, you took my mom away from me and you had no right. I blamed her. I said, you left me, prematurely left me. You said that I was like gone. Every time somebody mentioned the word mom, I was all over in tears. The first Mother's Day, I didn't want to speak to nobody, hardly. It was bad, and I started blaming people. I got mad because I seen a lot of people that didn't help her when she was going through what she was going through. They didn't care. So it was like, but the scripture that came to my mind, that kept coming to my mind for some reason, it was Hebrews 13:5 kept coming to my mind over and over and over and over. I will never leave you nor forsake you. But I felt like he had already left. I felt like God was saying it, but he was distant. I felt like he was saying, you need to come to me in order for me to come to you. I knew that wasn't true before, you know, but at the time I felt like that's what was going on. I was angry at my mom for a long time. I blamed myself. I was like mad. I went from everything. I went from if I didn't buy the food, maybe if she didn't eat it, maybe that's what killed her. She died from a cardiac arrest, but we were overweight. I was even overweight. So from there on, okay, so around 2000, I think it was 2013, I believe it was, I had basically, me and my husband at the time started a radio station, a Christian radio station. And that I'm sitting on, I'm on now. And we started a Christian radio station in honor of my mom. Now, I was basically, but here's what had to happen. I was basically like going through, all this was going through, leading all up to this. She had passed away in 2011, so 2012 was Let the Party Begin. And then also I had got laid off from my job before my mom passed away. That had hit me, but it didn't hit me as bad as my nephew had died that year. It didn't hit me as bad as when my mom died. You know, not my nephew's death. I'm talking about my job. My nephew's death was horrible. He was murdered, but it didn't hit me as bad, being laid off of my job, as it did when my mom died. It was like the finish touch when that happened. And so I got laid off of a job that I had been there for. It was my career job, and I got laid off and everything. But I'm going to tell you something. God works in mysterious ways, and God does things for a reason, because had he not have did that, I probably would have stayed there now. And I see some of the people that work there now still, and some of their bodies is broken down. And some of their dreams have been shattered. You know what I'm saying? They haven't been able to live the things they live. But okay, moving back to the mom, because this is Mother's Day. So anyways, the mother's touch. I just kept remembering when she said, it's not bye, it's till we see each other again. My mom always talked about heaven. And I know my mom went to heaven. Whether people say they're sleeping right now, they're waiting for Judgment Day to go, my mom is going to heaven, whether it's that way or whether you go to heaven straight from here. My mom is in heaven, and she said it's not bye, it's till we see each other again. That's what kept playing on in my mind, and in Hebrews 13:5 kept playing on in my mind. I would never leave you nor forsake you, from God, and then also what my mom said. Those two things kept, even when I was doing my choice of pain medication was Vicodin. But even when I was doing those, I still, and I mean I was like really, really wasted with them, I would still push forward and still have those in my mind. Because you know they say when you raise your children in a good way that they will come back to it. And that's what I kept doing. But the enemy had a tight hold on me. But also my mom had prayers. So anyways, see my time. So anyways, 2013 or end of 2013, end of 2012 into 2013. I never forget it. Me and my husband at the time started a radio station.